When we think about failure, it's often seen as something to avoid at all costs. But what if I told you that failure is not the opposite of success, but an essential part of it? Imagine if every breakthrough, every innovation, every moment of growth was preceded by failure. The great leaders, the creators, the visionaries, none of them got there without failing, without falling down, and most importantly, without learning from it. We live in a world that celebrates success but shuns failure. But the truth is, failure is a gift. It's a teacher. It challenges us to question our assumptions, to push further, to be better than we were before. And the key to all of it? Never being afraid to fail. As Simon Sinek would say, the goal is not to avoid failure. The goal is to learn from it and come back stronger. So let's reframe our approach to failure. Let's embrace it as a stepping stone on the path to greatness. Failure is often perceived as something negative, a barrier that stands in the way of our success. We're conditioned to avoid failure at all costs, to steer clear of mistakes and setbacks. However, this mindset misses an essential truth. Failure is not a setback. It is, in fact, a setup for growth. When we experience failure, we tend to focus on what went wrong. We analyze the reasons for the failure, the mistakes we made, and the opportunities we may have missed. This process, though important for learning, often comes with a sense of shame or embarrassment. We may feel that failure defines us, that it's a mark of inadequacy or inability. But what if we reframed our thinking around failure? Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of our shortcomings, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. Every failure provides us with valuable lessons and insights that we wouldn't have access to otherwise. These lessons, if we allow them to, will help us become better, stronger, and more resilient. For instance, in the early stages of any venture, be it in business, personal development, or creative pursuits, we are likely to encounter failure. But within these failures lie the raw materials for success. Failure gives us the feedback we need to understand what isn't working, and more importantly, what needs to change. It forces us to adapt, to think differently, and to challenge our assumptions. Without failure, we might never feel the need to innovate or improve. The process of learning from failure is often uncomfortable. It demands that we confront our vulnerabilities and weaknesses. It requires us to move beyond our egos and accept that we don't always have the answers. But that discomfort is what pushes us out of our comfort zones and into the realm of true growth. It's through facing and overcoming failure that we develop the resilience and perseverance necessary to succeed. Take, for example, Thomas Edison's journey to inventing the light bulb. He failed over 1,000 times before he succeeded. But rather than being discouraged by these failures, he viewed each one as a lesson, as a step closer to success. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset, seeing failure not as an endpoint but as part of the process, was what allowed him to ultimately achieve his goal. In the world of entrepreneurship, failure is often seen as an essential part of the journey. Many successful entrepreneurs, including Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, and Elon Musk, have faced significant setbacks and failures throughout their careers. However, these individuals didn't let failure stop them. Instead, they used their failures as stepping stones, learning from each experience and applying those lessons to their future endeavors. Their ability to persevere in the face of failure is what ultimately set them apart and led them to success. Failure also plays a crucial role in personal development. It's easy to stay in our comfort zones, where we feel safe and secure. But true growth happens when we challenge ourselves, when we push past our limitations, and when we step into the unknown. Failure is often the result of this kind of boldness, stepping out of the comfort zone and taking risks. And even if we don't succeed immediately, the lessons we gain from those failures are invaluable. They teach us about our own strengths and weaknesses, about how we respond to adversity, and about what truly matters to us. Furthermore, failure teaches us the importance of resilience, the ability to bounce back after setbacks. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, but about how we handle it when it comes. It's about getting back up after we fall, learning from our mistakes, and continuing to move forward with renewed determination. Resilience is what separates those who eventually succeed from those who give up too soon. One of the greatest gifts of failure is that it helps us develop a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through hard work, dedication, and learning. When we embrace failure as part of the process, we stop viewing it as a reflection of our innate abilities and start seeing it as an opportunity to improve. This mindset shift is crucial for long-term success, as it encourages us to keep going even when things get tough. In any endeavor, we will inevitably face moments of failure. The key is not to avoid those moments, but to embrace them. Failure is not the enemy. It's the teacher that helps us grow. It's through failure that we learn what doesn't work, so we can discover what does. And with each failure, we move one step closer to our ultimate goal. Failure, when embraced as part of the journey, becomes a powerful tool for personal and professional growth. It is the foundation upon which success is built. If we can shift our perspective and stop fearing failure, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities and opportunities for growth. And in doing so, we become better equipped to achieve our goals and fulfill our potential. Embracing failure as a stepping stone to success requires a shift in mindset, an understanding that failure is not the end but a crucial part of the process. The journey to achieving anything meaningful is rarely linear. It's filled with moments of challenge, uncertainty, and yes, failure. But within these failures lies the very foundation of our success. They are not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities to grow, to adapt, and to become better versions of ourselves. Too often, people shy away from taking risks because they fear failure. They believe that failure is something to be feared, something that should be avoided at all costs. This perspective limits potential and keeps us from stepping outside of our comfort zones. The reality, however, is that success cannot be achieved without experiencing failure along the way. Failure is not a sign of weakness or inadequacy. Instead, it is proof that we are trying, that we are pushing ourselves to do something new, to go beyond what we already know. Each failure serves as a reminder that we are growing, learning, and evolving. When we embrace failure as a stepping stone, we begin to see the value in the lessons it teaches us. Failure teaches us what works and what doesn't. It gives us insights into our strategies, our decision-making, and our approach. Without failure, we would have no way of knowing what needs to be improved or what needs to change. In fact, failure often provides more valuable information than success ever could. When we succeed, we celebrate, but we don't always understand the full picture of why something worked. Success can sometimes be a result of chance or timing, while failure always comes with a clear lesson, a lesson that we can apply moving forward. This is why many successful people, including entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders, often emphasize the importance of learning from failure. They know that failure is part of the equation, and it is how we respond to failure that determines our trajectory. For instance, in the tech industry, failures are often seen as part of the innovation process. Many of the most groundbreaking companies have faced significant setbacks and failures along the way. But the key is in how these companies have turned those failures into opportunities for growth. They iterate, they adapt, and they learn from their mistakes. Consider the story of the early days of Apple. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak faced multiple failures before Apple became the global powerhouse it is today. Jobs was famously ousted from the company he founded, and yet he didn't see this as the end of his journey. Instead, he went on to found NeXT and later returned to Apple, bringing with him new ideas, fresh perspectives, and a greater understanding of what was needed to truly succeed. His ability to embrace failure and use it as a stepping stone is a key reason why Apple became the company it is today. Failure also plays a vital role in personal growth. We often think of success as the ultimate goal, but in reality, the process of getting there is where the real growth happens. Every time we fail and learn from it, we become more resilient, more capable, and more adaptable. Failure forces us to confront our limitations, to challenge our assumptions, and to expand our horizons. It teaches us humility and resilience, two qualities that are indispensable on the road to success. In the personal development world, it is often said that failure is the best teacher. When we succeed too easily, we don't learn as much. Success can sometimes lull us into complacency, making us believe that we have all the answers. Failure, on the other hand, forces us to question our approach, our strategies, and our decisions. It humbles us, and in doing so, it opens the door to new learning and growth. Every time we encounter failure, we have an opportunity to refine our skills, to develop new strategies, and to become more effective in our pursuits. Moreover, embracing failure as a stepping stone helps build a mindset that is focused on long-term success rather than short-term gratification. Many people are quick to give up when faced with failure because they are focused on immediate results. However, success is rarely instantaneous. It is the result of sustained effort, continuous learning, and the ability to push through obstacles. When we view failure as a necessary part of the process, we become more patient and persistent. We understand that success is not about avoiding failure, but about learning from it and continuing to move forward. Athletes, for example, understand the importance of failure in their training and competition. A runner doesn't get faster without pushing past their limits and failing along the way. A basketball player doesn't become great without missing shots and making mistakes during practice. The key is not in avoiding these failures, but in using them as opportunities to refine skills, adjust techniques, and develop mental toughness. Each failure teaches something new, whether it's about physical strength, mental fortitude, or the importance of discipline and focus. The same principles apply in business. Entrepreneurs often face failure after failure before finding success. They may launch products that don't sell, make decisions that backfire, or face financial struggles. But those failures provide essential feedback that can be used to pivot, adjust strategies, and ultimately find the right path. The process of trial and error is how innovation happens, and without failure, there would be no room for creativity or progress. In both personal and professional life, failure is an inevitable part of growth. It is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be embraced as a necessary part of the journey. When we learn to see failure as a stepping stone, we unlock our full potential, gaining the resilience, insight, and determination needed to succeed. Through failure, we learn what doesn't work, but more importantly, we learn how to make what does work even better. The greatest leaders are those who learn from their failures and keep moving forward. This is a principle that runs through the core of what defines true leadership. Leadership is not about never stumbling, never facing setbacks, or avoiding failure at all costs. It is about how one responds when those inevitable challenges arise. The most effective leaders are not those who have never failed, but those who understand that failure is an opportunity for growth and transformation. Leadership requires resilience, and resilience is forged in the crucible of failure. Every leader at some point in their career will face failure, whether in the form of a failed project, a misguided decision, or a misstep that causes temporary harm to their reputation. The key to effective leadership is not in avoiding these failures, but in how a leader handles them when they occur. It's about having the courage to face failure head-on, learn from it, and then move forward stronger and more equipped to face future challenges. One of the defining qualities of great leaders is their ability to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Rather than becoming discouraged or disheartened, great leaders view each failure as a lesson. They understand that failure is a natural part of the process of leadership. Every mistake provides valuable feedback that can help refine strategies, improve decision-making, and lead to better outcomes in the future. It's through this process of learning from failure that leaders grow in their wisdom and understanding. They recognize that success is rarely achieved without a series of failures along the way. Take, for example, the story of Nelson Mandela. His journey to leadership was not one devoid of failure. In fact, he faced numerous setbacks throughout his life, including years of imprisonment and significant personal losses. Yet, Mandela's leadership was shaped by his ability to learn from those failures. He never allowed them to define him or limit his potential. Instead, he used his experiences to build a deeper understanding of justice, equality, and the power of forgiveness. He learned that failure in its rawest form could be a tool for strengthening resolve, clarifying purpose, and refining leadership. In the world of business, leaders such as Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, and Jeff Bezos have all faced failures that could have been seen as career-ending. Yet, each of these individuals rose from their failures with a renewed sense of purpose. Steve Jobs, for instance, was famously ousted from the company he co-founded, Apple. This was a massive personal and professional setback. However, rather than allowing this failure to define his career, Jobs took what he learned from the experience and used it to fuel his future successes. Upon his return to Apple, he brought with him a new vision. a sharpened sense of purpose, and an ability to innovate that led to some of the company's most iconic products. Richard Branson's journey to leadership was also riddled with failures. He has launched over 40 companies, and not all of them have been successful. In fact, many have failed. Yet Branson has consistently bounced back from these failures, using them as stepping stones for future ventures. He once said, "You don't learn to walk by following rules. Or you learn by doing and by falling over." This mindset has been crucial to his success. Branson's ability to learn from failure has allowed him to create one of the most recognizable and successful global brands in Virgin Group. Bezos, too, has faced his fair share of failures on his journey to build Amazon. Early on, Amazon was not the multi-billion-dollar company it is today. It struggled with profitability and faced skepticism from investors and critics alike. Bezos faced constant setbacks, including product failures and financial losses. But instead of letting these failures defeat him, he saw them as part of the learning process. His willingness to experiment, take risks, and adapt led to Amazon's eventual success. Bezos has often stated that he believes in a failure as a necessary part of innovation. He recognizes that only by trying, failing, and trying again can true innovation emerge. This ability to learn from failure is not only important for personal success, but also for the success of the team or organization that a leader oversees. Leaders who demonstrate resilience in the face of failure inspire the same quality in their teams. When employees or team members see their leader confront failure with determination and a willingness to learn, they are more likely to adopt a similar attitude. They learn that failure is not something to fear, but something to overcome. It becomes part of the process of learning and growing, both as individuals and as a team. Moreover, great leaders also create environments where failure is not stigmatized but viewed as a natural part of progress. They foster a culture of experimentation and risk-taking, where employees feel empowered to try new things, make mistakes, and learn from them. In such environments, people are less likely to play it safe or avoid taking risks, because they know that failure is not only accepted but encouraged as a means of growth. This is a fundamental trait of the most innovative companies and organizations in the world. Just because they know the Leaders like Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX understand this principle well. Musk has faced numerous failures in his ventures, from rockets exploding to production delays, but he continues to push forward, viewing these setbacks as essential learning experiences in his pursuit of innovation. The ability to learn from failure is not limited to famous leaders or entrepreneurs. It is a quality that anyone can cultivate. Whether you're a manager, an entrepreneur, a teacher, or a student, embracing failure as a lesson can propel you forward in your own leadership journey. It requires vulnerability, humility, and a willingness to grow, but it is precisely these qualities that enable leaders to rise above challenges and inspire others to do the same. The ability to learn from failure and keep moving forward is a defining characteristic of the greatest leaders. It's what separates those who stay stuck in their setbacks from those who push through them, who grow stronger with each failure, and who ultimately succeed because they never let failure define their potential.